Well, it speaks from the voice of God. God says that the child of Adam, or people in general, hurt me by, or abuse me, or insult me by saying that, by cursing time. Whereas Anadar, I am time. I control the interaction between day and night. So that gives an interesting sidelight here on the question of God and time. The hadith literally says God is time. God says, I am time.
What do you think that means?
Well, if one were to take it literally, one would go the route of Ibn Hazm, one of the great scholars of Islam from Spain, who actually had said that ad-dahr here would be one of the attributes of God, just as we say that God is ar-Rahman, the merciful, ar-Rahim, again, the kind. God is ad-dahr, the time. But Ibn Kathir, in his commentary on the Quran, remarked that Ibn Hazm is wrong about this, and it's incorrect to say that time is really one of the attributes of God. So that means then that we cannot really take the hadith as literally as Ibn Hazm took it. But does it mean in another way that God is in some way time? Even though you won't call him by that title. What Ibn Kathir is explaining is that in the days of Jahiliyyah, the days prior to Islam, the Arabs used to blame time for everything. And in a way we do that today as well. You know, we say that, these are difficult times, and so on. Mm-hmm. Like we blame the time for something. Time is doing, look what times have brought me, look what bad times these are, and so on. Well, the Arabs used to blame time, and the hadith, according to Ibn Kathir, is just simply saying that when you blame time, indirectly you're blaming God, because God is really ultimately responsible for the things for which you're blaming time for. And if you're cursing time like that, by implication, you're really cursing God, and that's what the hadith really means, according to him.
Now, what sort of larger implications does this mean for our understanding of God?
Well, to begin with, God is not very easy to comprehend. We know some of his attributes as given in the Quran and in the prophetic sayings, but to think of God and to conceive of who and how he is not so very easy. Nor is time any easier to understand. Nowadays we know that time is relative. If one is in a train, then one approaching something would see that thing closer, and the thing that he is moving away from would appear to be farther. In a similar way, depending on where we are, a certain event could be actually closer in time and a certain other event farther in time, even though the two events are actually only so in relation to what we are approaching. Mm-hmm. And so time is known to be relative nowadays. We cannot have a fixed moment in time. To give a further illustration of this, we know that the sun is 93 million miles away, and it takes the light from the sun 7 minutes to reach us. So when we look at the sun, we're actually seeing it the way it appeared 7 minutes ago. So if the sun was destroyed, let's say 5 minutes ago, and it's no longer there, we wouldn't know it until 7 minutes later after its destruction, when we would no longer see its light. So what we are seeing as a now is not actually now, but it depends on where you are and how things appear to you in your particular position in time. So how does this relate to God? Some philosophers have said that because God is changeless, time does not apply to God. And so the thought of God as being timeless and changeless. And this became very prevalent among many philosophers, Muslims, Christians, Jewish. But nowadays, many scholars are looking at that again, and a certain philosopher, Peter Vardy from Oxford University, in his book, The Puzzle of God, actually revisited this, and he said that the way in which philosophers have spoken about God, this is not really the biblical God, and I would add, neither is it the Quranic God. because the biblical Quranic God actually interacts with people, and he gives commandments, and he does things in response to the actions of people. So that means he's very much operating within our time. And so in some way, our time relates to his commandments and his actions and his responses. So how do we understand the two together? This is a really difficult philosophical problem.
All right, we'll leave it at that, and we'll take a break. Thank you, Brother Stewart. And when we come back, we will look at the case of the young girl who was murdered in